Australia, and Di has multiple sclerosis. Welcome, Di.
Hi, how are you, Linda?
I'm fine, thank you. Could you tell us when you first started getting symptoms of MS?
A long time ago. It was actually in 1986. I had vision problems. At the time, my mother was terminally ill with ovarian cancer, and I think that played a part as well in the fact that I was under a fair bit of stress. My vision problems were followed up. And when I say vision problems, so it was a blurred vision in one eye in particular. And I was gradually diagnosed with optic neuritis, and which I took some steroids for, etc. And basically then for the next 17 years, give or take, I was pretty well. I didn't really have anything going wrong at all.
That's good.
Until
how old were you? How old were you when you had the optic neuritis?
I was 40 when I was diagnosed.
Right.
Back in 1986, and as I said, my mother passed away that year. And then, as I said, I went for probably about 17 years with really no symptoms at all. And I thought things were going along very well. My neurologist, however, had retired, and so I needed a new one. So I went to him as a follow-up check-up with him. And that was about 2005, and I had noticed that I was starting to have problems walking. And so he virtually gave me a thorough going over and told me that I had progressed to secondary progressive multiple sclerosis.
And what other symptoms did you have at that time other than just you walking?
Mainly it was I developed a limp, firstly with my right leg. Also had some, a little bit of tingling and numbness, facial numbness, things like that, and tingling in my feet and hands, pins and needles, that sort of thing, and a weakness probably in my right side, including my right arm, as well as my right leg. Yeah, so that was probably basically it.
Yeah. So how did you find LDN?
Well, I found LDN because I was looking, I belonged to a couple of sites. One was the Swank website, the diet site, and I actually kept hearing about LDN on their site, about people talking about it, so I decided to research it. Oh, by the way, too, in 2005, I went to a live-in retreat over here in Victoria with George Delanick, who has written a couple of books about multiple sclerosis. I'm sure you've heard of him. He's a professor of emergency medicine, and he was diagnosed back in 1999, I think it was. And so he started to follow things up and really research it, and as a result wrote the first book, which was Taking Control of Multiple Sclerosis, and I virtually followed everything that he recommended, basically, and mostly that was through diet and, lifestyle changes, things like that. So I followed George right through his career, I suppose, as a writer, a medical writer. And eventually, as I said, I went to that retreat in 2005, and that was when I also went and saw my new neurologist as well. I told him about the diet, but of course that wasn't accepted. It still isn't accepted as a cause of MS, or not as a treatment for MS, I suppose you'd say. But I have been on that diet now since 2005, quite religiously. And then when I found out about LDN, I decided I wanted to try that. So I had a very good doctor who was very good, listened to me and prescribed LDN for me.
Oh, that's lucky.
And that was back that was about 3 years ago, a bit over 3 years ago.
Yes.
I suppose so.
And has your doctor noticed any improvements in you in that time?
Oh, definitely. I started to notice improvement within 2 weeks. 1 month, more recent symptoms had been urinary problems, bladder control, that sort of thing. And within a couple of weeks, they'd all gone, basically. I no longer had problems with urinary incontinence. And that was a big, as you can imagine, a big life-changing thing.
Yes.
And definitely improved the quality of life. I also noticed that the tingling, the pins and needles, the numbness in the face, that all resolved. The lymph was still there, but I think that had been caused through old damage, and that wasn't probably going to get much better. But over the 3 years since I've been taking LDN, I believe that I've stabilised and have not got any worse. So that for me has been a big plus. Yes.
Did you notice any introductory side effects when you first started?
When I first started, actually, I did have some of the dreams, the strange dreams, but actually I quite enjoyed them. They were quite funny. You wake up in the morning and think, wow, that was interesting. But basically I had a little bit of trouble sleeping at first, that sort of thing, a bit of sleep disturbance. But really there wasn't that much in the way of, and also too, some of the symptoms got worse for a short time. But eventually after gradually upping the dose, and I'm now on 4.5, I can honestly say that I don't have any side effects, except when if I overdo too much, if I get too tired, all that sort of thing. If I don't look after myself as I should, then sometimes you'll find that some of the old symptoms will return.
Yes.
But if you look after yourself and take care and do the right things, I've found that they will again go away.
And what would you say to other people that are contemplating LDN but are a bit wary?
Well, I've actually had cards made up over here because I am a great advocate for LDN, and fortunately in just the last few weeks actually I've had several contacts from people, and people have contacted my doctor and my pharmacist too, wanting to go on to LDN, so that's been very pleasing as well. So, all I can say is to them really is give the website, LDN Aware, and for them to look at the information on there, or the LDN Research Trust, so that they can then see what it's all about and make up their own mind whether they want to try it. But my main focus is just letting people know it's there, because a lot of people, as you know, don't even know it's around.
That's right, yes.
So that's the main thing.
Well, we really appreciate all your help and support and passing on the message, as it were, to give people the information.
Sure it is getting out there. I can see that it's a lot more people seem to be more aware of it. But some people, as you said, are very wary because they're